We are live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicinda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP. We're a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. Our hope and desire is to help amazing designers find great players who love their games, and help amazing players find great designers whose games they can love. We do that in a lot of different ways, but the most fun way is sitting down with those designers to play those games. And also, Duck in the chat. We don't need any Arachnid advocates here. The Arachnids are doing a fine job advocating for themselves in the game we're playing in today. And that is Webworld, which is a Arachnid apocalypse survival game by Neon Rot. Will, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online, and tell us a little bit about Webworld.
Yep, so I'm Will, or Neon Rot. I have an itch.io, which is Neon Rot. And I make all sorts of RPG games, mostly horror orientated. I'm a UK-based creator, and I made a game about giant spiders taking over the world. It's set after an apocalypse, and the apocalypse is nondescript. You're not really sure why they're there or how they're there, but they're there. And there's these giant, schlocky movie spiders have taken over the world. They've killed off most of the human race and covered everything in this thick layer of web. And the RPG itself takes place after this apocalyptic event, with humans sort of surviving, hiding, running in between these webs. And it's an entirely combat-free system called Webworld. And you can also pick up a physical copy from Exalted Funeral, among other sort of stuff that I make. And we're going to be playing that today, I hear.
Someone told me to show up. And I had awesome. We'll also open up a giveaway for getting a physical copy of that game from our friends over at Exalted Funeral in just a little bit here on stream. We'll also be giving away a copy on social media later on this week. I'm super excited to dive into playing the game. It's absolutely gorgeous. I was really excited that both you and Jarrett reached out to me. Speaking of which, let's meet our other players. Jarrett, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do? Also tell people, since you're not online anywhere you want to be found really, why don't you tell people how excited you are to hang out with me all day long?
I love you, Tony. This is what we do. We at least once Friday a month. We double book ourselves all day for a Friday. It's good time. It's good time. I'm Jarrett, and I am senior projects manager at Exalted Funeral Press, and I get to help out and get people make RPGs and do stuff. And Will hit me up several months back, and we got Webworld through, and I haven't had a chance to actually play it yet, so I'm super excited. I'm going to be playing a character named Molly Balaban. Molly short for Molotov, and I don't know if anyone's familiar with the character actor Bob Balaban. While Dean's doing intros, I'll find the link for you real quick, Tony. Bob Balaban is one of just he plays the quiet, meek little guy in a lot of just Americana type films. So Molly Balaban.
We'll be dropping some great clips of Bob Balaban in the chat as we go. As oftentimes happens whenever Jarrett and I play together, we find some of the oldest, most disturbing media clips we can and drop them in chat for your enjoyment. If you're not over on Twitch right now, that's fine. You're just going to miss out on most of that fun. Awesome. Let's meet our other player, somebody I'm always excited to see at the table, and that's Dean. Dean, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, and where they can find you online?
My name is Dean. Thank you for the sweet intro, by the way. On social media, on Twitter and Instagram, I can be found at GeekUsDean. It's Geek Us Dean. It's a brand I'm going to eventually start up when I can get myself to actually, do something. The only content creation I do at the moment is I'm going through a moment in my life where I'm doing a lot of exercising, so all my social media seems to be based on that. But I'm hoping within the next few weeks to both get out some content based on my perspective on culture, and I'm working on a couple RPGs that I want to put out there. Okay. So, yeah, hopefully in the next few months.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to know that you're slightly more prepared for the Arachnid apocalypse than Jared, I don't think Jared or I have been blasting any reps lately at all. So, I mean, I could be wrong. Jared, are you blasting any reps?
Is that like taking naps?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but the
I
opposite.
Either. I'm gonna be honest with you.
So, awesome. We use a couple tools here on the channel to make sure that we all stay on the same page as far as content that we're comfortable with whenever we play a game. That's lines, veils, and the X card, unless the system dictates another one. Just as a content warning, there are spiders in this game. That probably will be a thing. Lines are things that may happen in the world of our game but don't happen in the course of our play of it. Veils are things that may happen in play, but we kind of handle them in a specific way. We kind of just move forward quickly past them, fade to black, or just confront them within a certain context that we agree upon in advance. X cards the ability for any of us at any point to pause the game, identify what the issue is. It could just be confusion. It could be, hey, I need to back up a minute. I phased out for a second there and entered into a different reality, then came back to this one. What just happened, or it could be that there's a piece of content we need to remove and move forward in a different direction after we resolve that. We also have an open door policy, which means you might see aspects of our real life, people coming up to talk to us, us needing to eat, drink, or other things. We're real human people. Hopefully you're a real human person also. You should take care of yourself, and we will also. With that said, does anybody have any lines or veils that they want to add above our channel one, which is a line against sexual violence?
I do have a veil on body horror. That's more or less it. Just kind of move past it.
Like if somebody gets infected with an egg of spiders, it's just like that happened and they burst out of them later. We don't need to go into specifics about it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I just want to put content warning body horror alongside arachnophobia. And the bit I've prepared today does have a small amount of body horror in it, but I'll be as little indescriptive as I can be.
Thank you.
So it's Dean, you're okay if what has happened is said, you just don't want the actual graphic description of it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Cool.
I don't mind hearing about it, just not in a lot of description about it.
Cool.
That's all.
Cool,
Yep.
cool. Awesome. Always great things to find out live, and that's why you have that conversation. It's so important. With that said, Neon, I'm going to hand things over to you to take us into Webworld.
Okay. So the world that you know it is dead. It's covered in a thick layer of web by these giant arachnids. They're here, and they scuttle across the surface of this planet, legs thicker than sewer pipes and bodies larger than buildings. People tried to resist at first, and just like in so many sci-fi films, the army was called, but their bullets and shells just seemed to glance off of the thick shit of the spiders like suits of armor. Now they've sort of taken up home on this planet, holding themselves between towering skyscrapers and crawling into small subway tunnels and hunting humans wherever they are. I'm gonna just go through character creation really quickly, but we've all made characters already. So Webworld uses this thing called the pool system, where when you do a check, you'll have a pool of D8 dice, and the whole system uses D8 dice. You'll exert any amount of dice by taking them out of the pool and rolling them to go against this check. If you succeed, you get 1 dice back to your pool. If you fail, they're gone, along with all the other dice that you used. And when you rest, that pool refills. And when you level up, you add to that pool, and your pool refills at the same time. It's sort of like a almost roguelike way of playing RPGs, where you're really, really likely to die right at the beginning. But if you keep going in a streak, you could go for quite a long time. When you're creating a character, it's essentially a card playbook. You pick a class. That class dictates your exact dice pool, your exact starting stats. It dictates the specific abilities that your class has, and that's it. And then you just need to pick one ability and come up with a backstory for your character. Character creation could be done in about 5 minutes in this game. So we've all made characters. So I thought I'd go around the table and have us introduce our characters.
Real quick, I'm trying to figure out if it's mine, but it should not be because I have streamer mode on. If anybody else has Discord up and they want to make sure it's muted, that would be great because I am hearing a lot of background pings, but it feels like they're coming through on my end, but they should not be.
That's just me making the noise.
It's just you making the noise
with his mouth.
Cool. I'm gonna hop in and try to mute all my stuff, but it shouldn't be happening, but it is. Sorry about that. You can go ahead, Will.
Yep. So Dean, your character.
I am playing Ben Green, who is a class-wise, he is a scout. According to the background here, it says Ben was a college track runner before the event. Top of his class, he never stopped running, even when the spiders came. And I feel like that's the type of positivity we need in this spider apocalypse.
Yeah. So scouts are fast and quick-minded. They take in their environment as they dash from broken car to pile of rubble. They easily spot spiders' webs, avoiding them when they can. Scouts are constantly full of energy and don't like being held up in one place for too long. Tony?
I'm playing Louis DeLuca. I have a background as a con man. Before the event, I would sell anything that wasn't bolted down and some stuff that was. My claim to fame is that I once sold every billboard in Times Square despite never owning any of them. My class is storyteller. So I'm good at calming folks down in the middle of this horrible apocalypse.
So storytellers would have been politicians or just the voice character before the world fell. They weave stories like a spider weaves a web, telling people exactly what they want to hear and convincing them of anything. Storytellers are often weak physically because they start with a very small pool and their stats are quite low, except for their speech. And they use their silver tongue and sharp wit to survive. Joe?
As I mentioned earlier, I'm playing Molotov Molly Balaban. Yes, I sent Tony a link to what Bob Balaban looks like. Hopefully everyone out there can see what Bob Balaban looks like. So, yeah, one of my favorite characters.
Well, I was messing with trying to figure out why my Discord noises are coming through. I did not get that up quickly enough, and I apologize to our fans. They're let down right now. Let me prioritize that real quick.
I'm just gonna keep making the noises.
Good Foley work.
See, and that's a future. That's gonna be a yeah. So yeah, Molly is a fire starter because because I like the concept. I personally enjoy fire. I think it's neat. On my person at all times, like in my everyday carry, I have at least 4 different ways to create and sustain fire because you can, like you need fire like in an apocalypse, right?
Yeah.
Now you don't know if I'm talking about real life or the game. Yes, and I didn't know, Will, if you want us to tell you what ability we took. Does that matter? Do you need to know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
I went ahead and took sticky bombs, which it allows me to kind of do what I'm reading is it feels like kind of like a last ditch, like, oh shit, we're all doomed, and I'm just gonna make this explode because it takes every player in the area takes damage, so y'all might not want to stand too close to me.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So Firestarters are pyromaniacs. They're happiest when they're dancing with an open flame nearby. Often they're prone to violent outbursts. Their personality is much like an uncontrollable blaze. Firestarters are also known for their alcoholic tendencies and short tempers.
Like the simplest things, well, not the alcohol.
So, like I mentioned, there's the pool system, and you can exert dice from your pool when you make a check. There are several types of checks which correlate to the skills the characters have. There's strength, agility, speech, and mind. Like I said before, this isn't a combat-based game, so strength will only be used for sort of climbing into buildings, lifting up rubble, etc. When you roll your d6, you're checking against a table. The table is 6 or below is a failure. So you've got to, if you roll 1 dice, you have 1 in 6 chance of succeeding. A 7 to 10 is a mixed success. An 11 to 13 is a success. So you're going to be having to roll 2 dice to at least get that mixed or success. And a 14 to 16 is a perfect success. You do exactly what you set out to do and more. And obviously, any success, even mixed, you get 1 dice back to your pool if you succeed.
Cool.
The other thing I wanted to touch on is that the game uses this thing called the Webscape, which is on the GM side of things, or the World Weaver, as it's called in Webworld. So the Webscape essentially is in any situation the players are in. So there's a specifying areas table for enclosed areas between buildings or inside wide open spaces, spiders' nests. The GM rolls a certain amount of d8s. So, for example, between buildings or inside, I would roll 3 d8s as the GM. And I get an 8, a 1, and a 7. So if any player at any point, and dice rolls need to be declared as I got a 4, a 6, and a 2. If any player rolls any one of the individual numbers on my Webscape as they're in that area, a spider notices their whereabouts through webs twitching or them knocking a web and moves 1 slot closer to the players through something called the Arachnid proximity table or AP table. And the closer the spider is, the more likely the spider is to attack the players, essentially. The last 2 slots in the Arachnid proximity table are the spider attacks and bites the players. When a player takes damage, your pool of dice that you're exerting is also your health. So every time you take damage, you remove a dice from your pool. So the more damaged you are, the less likely you are to be able to succeed at something. So you need to go and rest up. There's one more thing. There's these things called hosts that only interact with players inside buildings. So basically, they're living player characters or NPCs that have been taken by the spiders, filled with baby spiders, and then been blinded by poison and sent into the smaller areas that the spiders can't fit into to explode and infect all the humans there, attack all the humans. That's the trigger warning for the body horror there. And there's a host proximity table similar to an Arachnid proximity table, which is the host is blind and can't speak and just goes through sound. So that just indicates you knocking a bit of rubble or nudging a table and the host hearing you and moving closer to you. The only difference is when the host gets to its last slot of the host proximity table, it explodes and all the spiders go everywhere. And that's generally a game over for all player characters involved because they take a large amount of damage. If a player loses all of the dice in their dice pool, they're not instantly dead. They just exhaust themselves and fall to the ground. If that's through a spider biting them, the spider then takes that player character back to a lair, and all the other player characters can either choose then to try and rescue the player or just cut their losses and move on, and then the player rolls a new character.
I vote on that one.
And then what I've written down here is that if that is chosen, the player character can come back as an NPC host essentially later on, which creates some quite horrible situations. That is essentially it. I've got a campaign here for us all to run. So I know everyone's got their individual pools. Leveling up. Usually, so leveling up is up to the discretion of the World Weaver. I generally do it as if you survive an encounter with a spider, you level up. Every where is it? Every here we go. Every 2 levels, you'll roll a d8, halve it rounded up, and then add that result to the max of your pool, instantly refilling your pool. And every 3rd level, you get to choose a new ability from your class abilities. And one of the options is to choose an ability from one of the other classes. So awesome. I'd say let's start there. So I'm going to sort of jump in mid-campaign. Like, you guys have already all met. You're already surviving together.
Already level 7.
I was about to say, can we make a luck check to go up a level?
Level 1.
Level 1. Wow. Rough.
We ran through a funnel together, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You guys step out the building you hid in overnight and make your way across the web-covered streets to the steps down to a subway station. You see the hastily constructed sign outside with "Hope" written on it. You've heard rumors from survivors that you found in the buildings that this is the last hope of humanity. It is a colony created underground of people living inside the subway. As you make your way down the steps, you notice that a solid wall has been constructed over the entrance, and a big metal door is set into this wall. Inside the metal door is a hatch, which, as you descend down the steps, the sound of your footsteps hitting the actually cleared away webs. The hatch opens, and a pair of eyes look out. Look, if you're here for shelter, we don't have any room left. We've barely got enough food as it is. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to turn you away.
What if we just came to trade?
Do you have any food on you? I don't see anything.
I mean, I've got a jar of I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called spider sap. It's delicious, nutritious.
Yeah, we don't want any spider stuff down here.
Oh no, this isn't spider anymore. Like, in the same way that milk is no longer a cow, this is no longer a spider.
What I mean, I don't know. Can that draw in spiders? I don't know.
No. If anything, the opposite is true. Like, if anything, you get a little bit of this in you, you're not gonna have to worry about spiders for a while.
Okay, that does sound interesting, but I can't risk opening this door to any more people. The last time we opened this door, a host got in. It was a messy situation.
I get that. I mean, do you want us to quarantine for a little while? I mean, I'd love to not hang out here. It's not my ideal, but is there anything we can do to I mean, besides letting you sample? And I pull out a jar of murky brown liquid.
As enticing as that looks.
A little baby food jar, like it's really small.
No, like it's an old like Herbert's lemonade jar. So you get a real good sense of the striation of colors that's happening. And here there's some purple swirly at the top, brown most of the way through, a little bit of murky dark redness at the bottom. This stuff is hard to come by, but
as enticing as that jar looks, I just can't let you guys in. But there is something that we need. So if you could bring that to us, I mean, we might be able to help each other out. There's a factory down the road from here, actually. They were working on some sort of newfangled car engine before the event. I think it's like a nuclear engine or something. It's self-contained in this cement block, but if we could get that here, we're working on a way of getting out of here and getting everyone out of here, out of the city. I mean,
yeah, one of the Nuco 2s. Yeah, I remember when those were coming off the line.
yeah, man, yeah. It's like big fire. Yeah,
it is like a big thing of fire contained in a cinder block that we hold the radiation in.
We should totally do that. Come on, yes.
Sensing the heat coming up from Molly there, he's just gonna take a step to the side just in case.
Molly's pretty twitchy. Molly, you said the magic word. Pollution.
I like that person's energy.
I mean, those things are pretty hefty.
I'm sure there'll be some sort of dolly in the factory or something, but
oh, okay.
Bring it back here. You can't miss it. Basically, you exit here, go down the block. I think there's a fallen building just down the block. Just get around that, And on the other side of that should be the factory, and bring it back here.
Just invariably, that dolly is going to have a squeaking wheel. Do you have any oil we can borrow?
Yeah, sure. Give me a second. And he closes the hatch, and you just hear like a whispering from behind the hatch, like, I don't know, do they want some oil? Have you got any oil? Yeah, I've got some oil. And then he opens the hatch and sort of like pushes a little, another little jar through the hatch full of oil.
What kind of oil is this? We should establish that now because it will matter later.
It's sunflower oil.
Okay, great. My character is not allergic to sunflower oil.
Molly's like, not as flammable as one would like, but do the pinch. Yeah.
That's a pretty high smoking point, so this will be useful.
All right, I'll see you guys if you come back with the engine. And he shuts the hatch again.
All right.
That was a jerk.
Yeah, I mean, you offer him something like this, and I show him the bottle.
It's high quality.
It's good stuff.
Spider milk's better than almond milk.
Hand squozen sap. I mean, you don't get better than that.
I don't think you're gonna sell that sap. You keep trying. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Oh, it's gonna happen. One day there'll be a chain of spider sap dispensaries across this land with my face on the front of it.
All right, you guys make your way up to street level, and you notice that there's down the block there's this skyscraper that's fallen over sideways, and you also can see from here that a Goliath spider the size of a bus sits on top of it, squat and fat, just kind of looking around and monitoring webs around it.
We all freeze. Like, I'll speak for the team. We're all just.
You can also see that there's an alley around the side of the skyscraper that's full of webs, like almost like a funnel. But you might also be able to climb through some of the windows below the Goliath spider. Leading up to the skyscraper, there's sort of rubble and cars strewn about.
All right. As much as I want to squeeze that big spider, I think it's probably. I mean, that's a lot of sap, if you know what I'm saying. I think we should probably not go directly at it.
Question: does anyone have a giant boot?
You ask that question every time we see one of these things. And I don't know how to reinforce to you that no, I don't have a giant boot with me.
But I agree on your path. It's a good idea.
So how do you guys want to tackle this? Get up to the skyscraper? Get up to the...
Yeah, so we've got a weird alley that sounds delightfully not like a trap. Some windows we can climb through that invariably won't have horrible spiders inside of them.
Mm-hmm. Or a host.
Or we can just try to walk towards the spider and hope for the best. I'm not against climbing in a window.
Okay, so the windows are below the Goliath spider where it's sitting on top of the skyscraper.
Yeah.
You'd be climbing into a sideways apartment, but you'd have to sneak up to it. So maybe give me an agility check to sneak up to where the spider is.
All right, so let's walk through that. I've got a 3 in agility.
Yep.
And does that mean I'm rolling 3 d8s? Or
no? So you can roll any amount of d8s that you want, but you won't get them back other than 1 if you succeed until you rest. That you're just adding the 3 to your total. So the success table is 6 or below is a failure, 7 to 10 is a mixed success, 11 to 13 is a success.
Gotcha.
And 14 to 16.
So my dice pool is 3 out of 3. I'm going to add my agility to whatever my roll is, and that's how I'm gonna. That's going to be my result, correct?
Yeah.
And I. Let's live large. I'm just gonna. 3 isn't bad. That means I've got an almost 50-50 chance of success.
Tony.
Oh, I rolled an 8.
So
that's I believe an 11.
So full disclosure, So obviously, as the GM, I would keep this hidden from the players and use it as a mechanic to keep the story flowing. But obviously, we're showing off the system. My Webscape currently has an 8 on it.
Yeah, I was 100% sure that was going to be the case. So.
So as you sneak from car to car, you manage to get up to this fallen skyscraper, and one of the webs that you touch twangs all the way up to this Goliath spider, and it turns its body to the twanging web and sort of half moves down the side of the building, kind of looking around to see what's going on. So you're up to the building, flat against the building, and this spider obviously hasn't noticed you.
Now, can we all move on Tony's roll like that, or would you like to? Because I'm thinking, I love this. Like, the chances of survival are real slim. Like, and as one would expect in a world overrun by giant spiders.
Yeah.
But no, I just wondered, Will, are we all? Because I'm down with all creeping together, but I'm also down with rolling dice just to see what happens. If that's...
Tony, sorry, you add 1 back to your pool because you succeeded.
Yay!
So your pool should be free again.
That's good because I really want my character to have their pool full when they die.
And I think on an 8, and also you got an 11, which is a success. I'm going to let everyone move on that sneak, so you sort of trail behind Tony. So you're all up against this building now. The closest window, so the distance between the edge of the skyscraper as it fell and the closest window is about sort of 8 feet up. So it's going to take some climbing or hefting someone up there to get into it.
Okay.
I mean, I got the spider's attention. One of you guys is going to have to do that part.
So Molly takes a knee and is like, "All right, come on, Ben. Come on, we'll throw you up there.
Okay. Then using Molly's assistance, he'll try and get up there, which I'm guessing that'd be based on strength.
I'm gonna make that an agility check because he's kind of throwing you up, and you need to pull yourself up. One of the other mechanics I haven't mentioned is that at any point another player can help out a player by giving them a D8 to their roll, but that helping player won't receive a D8 back if they succeed. It will just help out the player.
I'm going to go ahead and do that, though. So my pool is now down to 3, but that's okay. That's okay.
So give me an agility check from Dean.
Okay.
So you can do any amount of D8 dice.
Let's make it 2d8.
Yeah.
And one of those was for me, so you're good. Unless you wanted the extra one from me.
Let's see. With my bonus, that would be a 17.
Yeah, that's a perfect success. How many? Sorry, so you rolled 3 D8 there, or just the 2?
Oh, just the 2. But I since he added the D8, let's roll that plus 2 to that.
Okay. What numbers did you roll?
19 total. I rolled a 8, a 4, and a 2.
Yeah. So 8 is on the Webscape. So I think that's a perfect success. So obviously you get 1 back to your pool. Jack doesn't get 1 back to his pool, but he helped out. And on a perfect success, you managed to flip up into this window on that jump. And you find that somebody has already done what you guys have done, and they've tied together a bunch of bed sheets in this apartment that's on its side and made a makeshift rope that they've kind of pulled up previously that they've tied to a bookcase, so you could drop that down for the other players. But obviously you twang the Webscape, so as you flip up into there, you knock one of the webs. The spider turns to where you guys are climbing up in, and just kind of like you could almost believe that the eyes are tracking you as it looks like back and forth between the skyscraper and the ground.
Hurry! I'll drop the rope. Hurry!
Yeah, I'm gonna absolutely, since I was right there and had done the lift up. there's like a Cirque du Soleil DVD we watched together last week or something. That's when we were practicing. I just like to have some rationalization for why we're suddenly really good at this shit. I look at Louis and then I'm just like, I'm going, man, and I'm starting to like get up that rope as quickly as I can.
All right. I'm going to let you guys get up the rope without any checks because that was a perfect success.
Excellent. I'm up the rope.
All right. You guys are in this sideways apartment, and you feel the whole building shift as this spider kind of moves to just where you guys were, and you can see the fangs kind of hovering over the window as it's looking around, trying to find what was twanging the web. And you guys can see a clear sort of makeshift way through to the other side of this skyscraper through sideways doorways and bookshelves that have tossed all their books onto the ground. There's a kitchen where all the cabinets are hanging open, and you actually find a few tins of food, so 3 tins of food fallen down out of these cabinets.
Those books. Those books.
I think we should get the cans.
I'm looking for some empty glass jars to keep on growing my spider sap empire also too.
So I guess what's the condition of the books? Are they like moldy, musty? Because I'm sure there's been rain at some point. But I mean, can I find maybe 1 or 2 that are reasonably dry that just might catch fire?
Yeah, sure. You find you find one that is Moby Dick that is fairly dry. And you find another that is a phone directory.
Ooh, nice.
If I may suggest, go ahead.
Sorry, Tony. You find one glass jar because the rest of them are all smashed as they
Excellent.
fall
That's
out.
all I needed.
Is there also a copy of Fahrenheit 451?
Yes, but it's damp and moldy. Unburnable.
Molly appreciates the irony and decides to bring it along anyway.
I guess you could dry it out.
Yeah.
So you guys make your way to the other side, and whoever went through here before, they've dropped another makeshift rope down, and you guys scale down that through to the other side. The whole building shifts every now and again. It's sort of not quite touched the ground yet, and the spider walking along the top of it isn't doing any favors to it. But now there's a clear open space between you and this. You see this giant factory kind of over this intersection. And in the wall of the factory, you can see a very large hole, big enough for a spider to fit through. And there's strands of web kind of going into this giant hole. Otherwise, you can see a kind of a loading bay with the door is down, and a bunch of kind of trucks are sideways around this building. You can also see a shed sort of close to this giant hole. But interestingly, just in front of the factory, there's an open manhole cover down into a sewer.
I've been in the sewers before.
Isn't that where you get the
Like
spider
game,
juice?
or...
I mean, you get the spider squeezings anywhere there's a spider. You know what I'm saying? You find a spider, you get your hands around, you can squeeze it. That's where you get the sap. Where you process the sap, that's the sewers.
I feel like that if you go down the sewers, it might contain a host. It feels like a very good start of a trap.
It's true.
So I would suggest maybe we either look at the shed he mentioned, or excuse me, this in character. We look at the shed or look at the loading dock.
Shed.
I mean, you always got to go to the shed, you know.
Yeah. Might be some kerosene in there. Some turpentine in there. Yeah. And Molly just without even waiting for the other two just starts like carefully, like it understands where still understands where he's at, but like one track mind wants to get some.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping it was one of those chuggy she sheds from before the fall, but kerosene's great also.
So you guys make your way across this intersection, and you make your way up to the shed. And the shed is indeed full of what seems to be like generator equipment. There's a big generator in the corner. There's a bunch of kerosene. There's a few drums that seem to be full of some sort of flammable liquid. Nothing to start any fires. Just a lot of sort of supplies to keep this factory going. If there was some sort of power cut, and leaning against the shed is a ladder, and if you got up onto the shed, you could feasibly climb into the giant hole in the side of the building.
So did you say there were jars?
Yeah, there's several jars full of a nondescript, moldy type of material.
Excellent. Do they have lids?
They've all got lids.
I mean, I'm gonna take a bunch of those jars.
Okay.
In case we need to sell jar juice, your new product.
I mean, you got to have the jar before you. I mean, you got to have a place to put it. By the way, if you want to get your own loot, you can type in !wrap me up to get entered in a chance to win a copy of Webworld from our friends over at Exalted Funeral. And you can do that now if you want to. Or if you want a jar instead, just let us know.
I was gonna say, Molly appreciates your offer, and wonders why Louis just suddenly saying this randomly, like while we're in the shed with all these jars, and just and pops the top to one of these jars and takes a big whiff. What is it?
Yeah. So whoever has been in this shed has tried to sort of grow their own vegetables within jars, not having access to large amounts of soil. So they've got there's like a zucchini that's just completely gone moldy, and it's filled the jar with this slosh. There's some sprouts. It's not nice.
Dumps it out. Also, I should have had the Bob Balaban vomiting from the episode of Seinfeld video queued up. Damn it! I didn't know there was going to be gross stuff in jars. But goes ahead and dumps it out, and then prays that eventually they find some sort of kerosene so you can make some sort of bombs.
I mean, there was kerosene. There's kerosene in the corner.
Oh, there is kerosene.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Molly wants to, as quietly as possible. I don't know how long we all want to stay in this shed, but Molly wants to try to make a few Molotovs if possible.
Sure. Give me a. Give me a mind check.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and use. I have 3 left in my pool, so I'm going to go ahead and spin. I'm going to use 2.
Okay.
Just in case. That is a 5 and a 5 on the dice. Plus my mind of 3 is a 13.
So 5 is one of the numbers on my Webscape. I re-rolled as you guys got into the shed. So that's going to trigger twice.
Sounds convenient.
Boing, boing.
Wait.
See?
5. So you sort of take all these ingredients outside and start working on this Molotov, purely because the chemicals could kind of knock you out inside this shed. And as you're kind of working, you're kind of not really paying any attention to the webs around you, and the other two can see this web kind of moving really, really far along this intersection and back towards the skyscraper. And then you see it start to tug and shake rapidly, and you see the Goliath spider kind of peek back up over the skyscraper and move down into the intersection.
You should probably get in that building, right?
Yeah, we either gotta squeeze this thing or get out of here.
Yeah.
Your ways into the building.
Are you gonna let Molly know?
Yeah.
Just wrap some bombs.
It's like just tap Molly's shoulder and like point at the spider.
Oh, on that success, add 1 back to your pool, obviously, and you gain 2 Molotovs out of this. So your ways into this building would be to attempt the loading bay, which is shut, or go up this ladder into this big hole in the wall.
I like the ladder.
Yeah, I can do the ladder.
All right. You guys make your way up onto the shed and peek through this big hole into this factory. And inside you see the rubble from the hole has kind of created this natural slope down into this factory production line. And the entire place is just covered in webs. There's webs over all the machinery. You can kind of see across the room there's a what looks to be an industrial lift with sort of a big open space, and you can actually see a blinking red light on the lift, like there's still power here, and there's a door next to this lift. You can see there's a broken walkway up to an office, but there's no way that you could possibly get up to this office with the walkway in the way it is. And you can see a bunch of shapes dangling down from the ceiling, kind of wrapped up in web. And in the corner, you can see a massive mass of webs in this funnel. And you can see a few sort of black legs kind of poking out of this funnel.
There's power here. I mean, if we can get these spiders cleared out, this might be it. We just move in here. Forget about those guys. They're almost out of food anyways.
How big did you say the thing we're supposed to get, this Nukatron?
The Nuko 2s?
Yeah, how big are they?
It's not how big they are. They're just really dense. Like,
how big are they?
It's a nuclear reactor wrapped in concrete. So, like...
Big?
It's about the size of a car engine. And just out of character here, I actually based this on... there was a factory in Detroit that did invent a nuclear engine for a car. And they scrapped the design because they were worried that if the car crashed, it could explode. And it was essentially a tiny nuclear reactor within a block of concrete in the back of the car.
And there's no way that would be bad for you. Like, people are worried about 5G right now.
It's a pretty reasonable thing to be like, yeah, we maybe want to do this.
It was in the back.
This might be a bad idea.
But it got to testing.
All right. Yeah, so I make a bunch of hand motions that are not totally nondescript.
Should we take 5 if Jarrett's going?
Sounds great. Let's take a 5-minute break real quick. We're going to be back in just 1 minute to play some more Webworld. If you haven't yet, hit follow and then type ! Wrap me up in order to get entered into a chance to win a copy of the game. You can also go to ttrpg.link/webworldgame to go check it out over on Exalted Funeral, or you can head over to Neon Rot's itch page. Check out the strictly digital version there. We will be back in just a few minutes to keep on playing. And we're live again here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. Just a reminder, if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit follow and then hit exclamation point, wrap me up, in order to get entered into a chance to win a copy of Webworld. We have made it through the building, over the shed, accumulated many jars, some filled with mold, some filled with kerosene, some filled with spider sap. And we are now looking at a place that may have a lot of things to squeeze inside of it. I'm very excited about that. I'm going to hand things back over to Will to take us back into the game.
All right, so you guys are situated in this factory at the top of this slope. Everything is covered in web. There's hanging shapes from the ceiling. You assume bodies taken by the spider and kind of wrapped up. A couple of them are still squirming. And in the corner, you can see this giant funnel with a few black legs sticking out of it. You can't really make out what's inside it. You assume that this is a spider's nest where it would take back its prey to inject full of venom and leave to die until it ate it.
So how the hole we're coming in on the side, how close is it to the ceiling versus the floor?
So this is like a large single room factory. You guys are sort of nearer to the roof than you are the floor, but you're sort of halfway, just over halfway up the wall.
Cool.
But all the rubble from the wall has created this natural slope covered in webs down to the factory floor.
And how tall is the ceiling total?
I'm not sure. 3 stories high.
3 stories. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
That works.
Yep.
So I was just curious. Just curious how close one of these bodies is to us, in all honesty. That's the question I was asking, but I was doing my subtle ask enough questions that you can prove a point to the GM rather than just asking the question directly method. And so I'm start making my way down this web-covered slope. What could go wrong?
Yeah. So you make your way carefully down this slope to the factory floor. There's the lift opposite on the wall, where you can see this blinking red light. This place obviously still has power with a door next to it. There's all these kind of machines covered in web between you and the lift. So if you wanted to get to the lift, I'd have to get a sort of a agility check or.
Okay, agility, you say?
Yep.
Looking at my character here. Let's go ahead and use 2d8. So I'm going to use 2 for my pool. I rolled an 8 and a 5. So that's base 13 plus my 5.
Yep. Okay, so that that is a perfect success. So add 1 back to your pool.
Nice.
I've re-rolled a new Webscape for the interior of this factory. 8 was on the Webscape.
How convenient!
I wanted to ask, like, when we switch major scenes like that, did you re-roll? Like, that's great.
Yeah.
And I was like, sweet, it's not going to be 8 and 5, but it is.
5 is not anymore, but 8 is. So spider nests have a specific Webscape where you roll 5 d8s for the spider's nest. So for future reference, and because we're talking about the system, the Webscape currently is 7, 2, 4, 3, and 8. So just don't roll any of those numbers.
Just roll 1s, everybody. Wait, what? How are we going to do anything?
So you make your way across the factory floor. And you're sort of nimbly climbing over these machines. And as you get to the last machine, you like knock a lever on this machine, and the power still in the factory causes this conveyor belt underneath the webs to start running, making this horrible chugging noise and causing a bunch of webs to get pulled into this machine. And as you turn the machine off quickly, the webs kind of yank at the different strands running across the factory, and the legs inside of the funnel start to sort of shift around, and this chitinous face kind of peeks out, and you recognize it as a giant black widow.
Excellent.
Guys, we got a scream.
But on a perfect, I will give you guys all leeway to get across this room.
Okay. Can I mean, I hesitate to do this because these bottles are my life and the future of humanity. I want to try to like whiff one of these bottles up to see if I can knock one of these bodies off the ceiling onto the ground to kind of create essentially like trick the spider into going to another part of this room.
Yeah, sure. Give me a strength check to throw that bottle.
Strength.
You guys are on the ground of this 3-story high factory, and it's pretty high up in the air.
I guess.
I mean, Brett said the jar made to be the distraction, so.
I could have just thrown the jar, but it didn't seem like it would be heavy enough. All right, so I'm gonna, I'll roll 2. That seems to be a good idea. I rolled a 5. I rolled a 7. Yay. Plus I've got 2 in strength, so 5, 7. It's 12, 14 all day.
Yeah. Perfect. Add 1 back to your pool. So you pelt this jar at the ceiling, and it knocks one of the bodies hanging loose, and it kind of snaps from the strands and crashes to the floor in another corner of the factory. And the spider, confused as to what's going on, actually withdraws itself back into the funnel. And in a GM situation, I would reduce the Webscape by 1 for distracting the spider. So essentially, that ticker that's ticking up will now tick down 1.
Okay.
And I'll level up you guys because you guys have survived enough encounters now for at least 1 to level up.
Excellent.
So roll a d8 and add half of that score to your pool, rounded down. Or rounded up, sorry. Rounded up. Okay. And that will be your new pool, and it will refill your pool as well if you haven't got any dice in it.
Cool.
So half of that rounded up, so that's 3 additional. Yay!
Yeah, I got 2, so I'm feeling a little bit better. Where'd you go? The D8.
Bring me up to.
I got a 7, so that was great.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm at a pool of 8 now. Woo! I'm just giving you in character. Just through that jar. That's the future of humanity. The spider squeeze. You
Look,
sure about that?
I got a lot of jars, but there's not a lot of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm not here to get the spider sap out to everyone, who will tell the story of how the spider sap will save humanity? What I really should do is, and this is as we're activating the lift and trying to go up. What I really should do is I should probably, and maybe this is something you're interested. Maybe you're interested in, helping humanity and helping yourself at the same time. Get some people underneath me to help distribute spider sap, and they can keep a portion of what they trade for. They give me a portion of what they trade for, and then they can recruit people underneath them, and it's kind of like support themselves while supporting others. I think that's a great idea.
Wait, so are you guys going for the lift or the door?
I was going for the lift.
All right. All right, you guys step into this lift and activate the lift, and there's a loud squeaking noise as it kind of makes its way down into a basement floor of this factory, and the doors spring open into this there's like an office / kitchen area, and then past that there's kind of a bunch of plans kind of laid out on different work surfaces, and you can see a big tarp over a big square thing in the corner, which you assume is probably the engine, and standing directly outside the lift, and I'll increase this to 5 because the lift was very, very loud, is a host. So there's this blind man in a ripped up uniform for the factory is kind of like feeding around on the wall just outside the lift, and making a moaning noise, and you can notice that he's quite bloated, and you recognize this as a host.
Hey y'all.
Hmm.
Do you think he's interested in spider sap? don't laugh.
I don't think he has a tongue to taste it. But yes.
Just thinking. I wonder if I could milk him.
God. And because I've increased this by 5, you notice that his mouth is open and small for giant spiders, but not small at all. Sort of the size of a hand. Spiders are starting to kind of crawl out of his mouth and down into the cracks underneath the factory.
So this isn't a whisper. I'm going to speak in a normal volume, but he's going to whisper the character. Throw some spider sap to distract him. Throw it against the wall.
What if I think again, spider sap is the future of humanity. Fire is the past of humanity.
Oof. We're getting controversial at this party.
What if we just burn this place and get this thing out of here real quick? I say, looking over at Molly. Jarrett.
Sorry, something was on fire at work.
Oh, sorry.
Say again.
I just implied that Molly should set the entire room on fire rather than.
Yeah. So
speaking of fires.
Yeah. So, like, I'm guessing we have lighters, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing you have a lighter.
I mean,
at least you would have a lighter.
Right. Some strike anywhere. Right there on the. He made a Molotov with it's a fast burning wick because he made the wick out of the book. So lights it really fast and hurls it kind of sloppily, hoping for like a splash effect,
Okay. Yeah, give me an agility check to just kind of aim that Molotov because it's fast burning and you're throwing it really hastily.
Yeah. So I'm figuring out why we don't want to roll a whole lot more dice than the usual 2 or 3 that we would when we start at, because you have that. Well, yeah, I get it now. Will, I see what you did there. Okay, I'm gonna use 3 dice, and you said agility, right?
Yep.
So I get to add a 4 to my result. 5, 5, 6, so 20. So it's success.
Yeah, wow.
But I hit on a 5 and 5 and a 6 on the dice.
So none of those are on the Webscape?
Wow. It does also make like hitting the same number repeatedly a fun thing, even without it being a critical reality, which is a cool little piece of tech.
Yeah.
And yeah, so add 1 back to your pool. Awesome. And that Molotov hits the host square in the face.
Molly says, "I'm sorry."
It runs away from where the flame and the heat came from because it's still a person in there, directly kind of into this office area, and it explodes. Sort of small spiders kind of explode out of it, but fortunately the fire kind of burns them all up as they're exploding from it, and there's just this kind of burning pile in the corner now. And you've dealt with that host.
Good.
Excellent.
So I'm gonna remove the Webscape from this room now because there's no way a spider could see you here and the host is gone.
Oh, we can do whatever we want then. We just live here now.
Yeah, if you
want. Go over and take the sheet off the top of that blocky thing in the corner.
Yeah, underneath you find a big kind of warning radioactive symbol stamped on a big concrete square sitting on top of a dolly.
Excellent. I take some sunflower oil I just like, get a little bit on each of the bearings on these wheels. Just in preparation for the fact that if you don't do proper dolly maintenance, one of those wheels is going to squeak and it's going to come back to bite us later.
Nice.
Of course.
I had written down in this test campaign that one of the wheels is squeaky. So
Did you really?
Yeah. So every time you roll this dolly, you have to make an agility check every sort of few meters. Otherwise, you trigger the Webscape instantly.
That's right. Never going against a Sicilian in OSR style survival games because I will own you every single time. God, that makes me so happy. Yeah. So we get that little squeak as I start, but then that oil kicks in and nicely lubricated bearings on these wheels. And start moving it over to the lift, I guess.
Yep. The fire is actually now spreading. These webs are surprisingly flammable, and it's kind of sort of gone up one of the walls in this office/kitchen area.
Molly's
like, yeah.
Upon reflection, I don't think we can set up camp here.
Well, we can come back later. It'll be all cleared out.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you that.
In a world covered with spider webs, it does seem like having Firestarter class means large swaths of city constantly burning on a regular. If you were playing a West Marches version of Webworld, where like you're dropping in and out of the world all the time, I can just imagine like, oh no, Detroit's just on fire today. Don't worry, next week it'll be on fire again. We'll have about a week off in the in between. And so,
and you actually notice now that there's a set of steps leading up next to the elevator to the other side of that door that you noticed.
Yeah, I bet. I think we should take the lift back up. We gotta. I don't feel like carrying this thing up those stairs.
Yeah. Molly's like, we can watch it burn from above.
All right, you guys press that button and the lift door closes and it kind of makes its way up the and it's loud, it's squeaky. You get to the top, the lift doors open, and the Black Widow is now kind of situated at the bottom of the wall from the funnel. The loud noise of the lift twice has drawn it out of its web, and the Arachnid proximity table has increased by 2.
I was saying out someone in chat, but so Spider Sap is going to replace NFTs, and yes,
it's like an NFT you can hold. I do hand number every single jar.
If you missed it, grift.
So we get out.
Well, you guys are in the factory floor now.
Yeah.
With this dolly.
Would you say that this thing it's very, very large? Yes.
Yeah.
It's very, very large. And then the spider is also very large.
Yeah. So this Black Widow is kind of the size of a small car, let's say. It's not quite as big as the Goliath Spider outside.
So we could put this engine in that spider and drive it around, is what you're
saying. Totally, that's what Molly's thinking. Molly's like, hey, what if we turn it around and we all push? We could kind of like use it like a shield, like sort of thing. Like that. I mean, if we all run like as fast as we can, we could smash into it. We could kill that thing. I know we can. We can't punch it. Look at all those people in the ceiling. They tried to punch it. It's stupid. If we push it, we can squish it.
We push it. Classic. That's merch coming out. If we push it, we can squish it.
To go with the spider sap, of course.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that at the beginning, I read out that the army tried to shoot them and couldn't break through their shell.
Yeah, that's actually what I was gonna say. Like, a character's like, love the enthusiasm. Those things can take takes.
I can't wait to talk a little bit about the realities of some of that after we're done playing. But yeah, I think this is probably something we all know isn't going to work.
Molly might think it's gonna work.
I'm actually well.
Molly might be able to put all 4 of these dice, go all in on making this work. That's what I'm saying.
I need a different success, a Molly success, 20 or above.
Hey, here it is. Do I get to add a?
Oh, you're actually going for it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, before I'm that guy and just like go for it, and Leroy Jenkins, would the 2 of you were trying to stop me? I take it.
I'm not like I like, you know what? Lou, somebody who's willing to both sell and be sold. If you have something you're passionate about, I want to see you succeed. And Molly is passionate about fire and smashing this thing with a radioactive car engine. And who am I to stand in the way?
She got 2 passions, and we're letting her live up to those passions.
Right. You're gonna help me? Are you guys gonna help me? Are you with me?
Yeah, I guess so.
I get okay. So here's is the spider positioned in a way that we might be able to like block it in or knock it down a stair? There's no stairwell nearby. That's.
Can we push the spider down the stairs? Is one of the best things I've ever heard in the game.
What else are we gonna do?
Gonna whatever happened to Baby Jane them down the stairs? Is that the plan?
Yeah.
I mean, leave, but I mean, that's a player decision, not a character. I mean, like I said, Lou's all in on this plan. So if you ask for help with this cart, I mean, he's got it oiled up and ready to go. This thing glides, baby.
Okay, so the spider is across the factory, below where its funnel was, just at the base of a large wall, essentially. It's actually below where the office is, up on the walkway that you can get to.
You guys talked me out of it.
Oh!
You were like, it's by the wall. You're not gonna pin it there because what are we gonna? We wouldn't be able to get the.
My thing I want to do. I'll just go ahead. Lou wants to go over and try to cut out the person in that cocoon, which is also a horrible idea.
Okay,
but that's what I want to try to like. Maybe they're still alive. Maybe they're a host. Who knows? That's what I want to try to do.
Okay. Yeah. So give me a agility check to sneak over to this cocoon because this spider is now aware that something is going on.
I have oiled my shoes also too.
Take an extra D8 to your pool that you're chucking in there. Shoes.
His shoes are working at maximum efficiency right now because of the oil.
I've got I got a 10.
Yeah.
On 3 dice, I got a 1 and 2, and an 8. I guess that's an 11. It's an 11, and then I've got plus 3, so 14.
Okay, so that's a perfect success. So take 1 back to your pool, but 2 and 8 are on my Webscape.
Of course they are.
So you make your way over to this this host, and the spider starts to scuttle over towards you and is now directly over you as you lean over this this wrapped up body. It actually hasn't noticed you're there, but it is on top of you, turning left and right, trying to work out what knocked the webs.
Excellent.
Is there an object on the ground right now, like near me?
Yeah, there's lots of rubble. There's bits of machinery.
Try and get the spider away from Lou. I think I'm gonna grab a rock and chuck it at one of the I'm forgetting the term used here, but like the webs that they use to sense movement.
Yep.
To try and act kind of like a distraction.
The key webs, the key strands.
Key webs, thank you. So I'm gonna go ahead and use 2d8 for this.
Yep.
And agility, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 7 plus 4, and that's 11 plus my dexterity or my agility. Excuse me, a 5, so that's a 16.
Yeah, perfect. So take 1 back. So you knock one of the key webs, and That's going to increase the webscape, but it's going to run over to where that web was twanged away from Lou, and kind of it's like it's back underneath the office, and it's kind of moving around trying to work out what knocked the web, but it is very much aware of people within its lair now, and so. Disclosure on the webscape or on the Arachnid proximity table, one more and the spider attacks.
Excellent.
Let's pretend we don't know that though.
Was I able to cut this person open or not? Like cut the cocoon, not the person.
Sure. So you cut this cocoon open, and inside is a still living body. It kind of like moves its arms and sits up, and it's got no eyes and no tongue, and its stomach is churning, and this is a host.
Excellent. I'm just gonna. You said its stomach is churning.
Yeah.
As in the skin around it is moving and it's making noise.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stick the largest.
I'm just trying to be less descriptive in that
Yeah,
situation.
that's fine. Stick the largest jar I have in that spot and then pull it up and put the lid on it real quick.
All right. You get one spider in your jar.
Awesome.
And it's trying to get its way out of this jar. And it is the size of a hand.
That's fine. This is getting spider sap takes a while. This is step one of many.
Yeah, sap sustainability.
Yeah.
And at the end, we're going to have a full recipe, Tony.
we will 100% in the next however many minutes develop a full recipe for spider sap.
Cream liqueur.
Yeah, Maria.
And then the spider has moved off now. It's not longer directly above me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's over by the wall now.
We got to get this thing out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the only exit from the factory that's flat. So there's the rubble up to the hole.
Loading dock.
Yeah, the loading dock has this big metal shutter that's down.
To the loading dock.
Excellent.
And even on the dolly, the wheelie that we got going on, it's like really, really, really heavy due to the density, right?
Yeah, and the webs are kind of getting caught in the wheels and.
Right.
It's like when you put your friends inside shopping carts and you push them down hills and stuff, but it's the reverse. You're trying to put them up a hill.
Yeah,
correct.
Pretty much.
Molly mutters that out loud, and it's like, why we did that.
So give me one of you give me a strength check, and I'll take that for the whole group.
I've got a 4.
I'm bad at strength.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so I will. I have 4 dice left. I will use. I'll use 3. Just because I already got a 50%. You know, I got that 4. So that's. I mean, we're there now. Watch me roll.
I'm about to say, why are you using 3 then? That's the question.
Because I'm going to roll a bunch of 1s. Is why. I know it's about that time of the day. I'm not kidding. I rolled a 1, a 2, and a 4. So that 7 plus my 4 hits an 11.
All right. Yep. So that's a success. So add 1 back to your pool, and your strength overshots the dolly, and it hits into the loading bay door with a crash.
Explode, right?
And the spider instantly moves across the room at sort of almost like cheetah-like speeds and is above you, and it sinks its teeth into your arm. Remove 1 d8 from your pool.
Like permanently, or like from the 2 that I have left.
Yeah, just from the 2 that you have left.
I'm down to 1. Here we go.
And where is it? Black Widows have a specific mechanic tied to them. So I've got a table of different spiders at the back of the book, so you can roll for a different spider. So Black Widows have whenever you make a check involving strength, take 1 damage.
Oof.
So until you rest, that won't go away.
Okay.
You are now poisoned.
My heart meter starts blinking green. Blink, 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 blink.
So you guys all freeze, and the spider kind of lets go, and then it bites like the floor next to you, and then starts trying to climb the machinery beside you, trying to find out where the thing went that it bit.
And I just start whispering to you, you can't tell Molly because it's been so long since this happened. But it's 100% the monologue from Shawshank Redemption about good friends drinking beer on the roof after a long day of work is enough to make you feel like you're human again. It's that long monologue, but I've replaced beer with spider sap. And it's just like, don't worry, this is all going to be okay. Story, which is my way of saying I'm using my ability. I'm telling you a calming tale of the world before the web. It gives any player who heals that plus 2d8 back to their pool. Dean, your character could hear this also too. So if you want 2d8 back to your pool, if you have used them, you may return them.
All right.
I'm assuming that's other players, correct? Or is that's not me, correct?
What does it say specifically?
It says gives every player who hears it. I would hear myself talking, but I don't know if my long con is benefiting me at all or not.
No, yeah, that includes you. You convince yourself.
Awesome. I mean, I guess I was down 1. Yeah. So.
And that invigorates Molly slightly, adding 2d8 back to your pool.
Still feeling pretty green, like nauseous, but I got 3 D's again, so that's all right.
Yeah. That was like, I have to use this ability right now, otherwise Molly will be dead soon.
All right, now use the monologue from Independence Day to really motivate us.
Right.
We didn't get the door up, did we?
No, not yet.
I think as the spider kind of gets towards, it's climbing up the machinery next to us.
Yeah.
Like, as it gets towards the top of where the door is, I'm just going to try to like slam it up as fast as possible, hoping to create vibrational confusion around it.
Yeah. No, great.
If a check is needed, I'm going to help him do that.
Yeah, give me a strength check.
Okay. So go ahead, add a d8.
I'll let you take the lead on this strength check. I'll help you. I'll propose the plan and let me help you in that case.
With my 2 strength, let's do this. All right.
Oh, you've got 2 strength also. Never mind. Then that's I'll do it.
Molly has the most strength here, and Molly's poisoned.
We don't want Molly making a strength check. Oh, well, I rolled an 8 and then a 6, then plus 2 strength, so 16.
Yep. So that is a perfect success, and 8 is on the Webscape. So here's what happens: you slam that door up, and the Black Widow kind of gets confused and rushes past you guys, and the sharpness of its leg catches your side and rips into your flesh as it runs past, dealing 1 damage to you. So remove 1 d8 from your pool. Dean died, and then it kind of makes its way over to the wall and is trying to work out what's going on. So Jared, just to bring you up to speed, the other 2 players slammed the door up, confusing the spider, which did hit the Webscape. So the spider slashed at Lou with its leg as it ran past the sort of the sharpness of its leg, and now it's kind of in the middle of the factory, kind of looking around, trying to work out what all these vibrations that are going on are. But the door is now open, and you guys can see outside into this intersection just outside of the factory.
Molly's just inspired by that soliloquy from Shawshank, and Andy Dufresne could sure tell the story. I don't remember that movie. But Molly is like, you two go, you two push this, and I'll take care of this thing with one more distraction, and gets another Molotov ready to throw once they start moving out.
All right. We shove it.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a slight incline down from the loading dock, and it moves with you down to this intersection. And you guys get out of this factory, and the spider's still there, kind of moving around inside the factory, trying to find out just what's going on in its lair. So there was definitely something. And you guys are into the intersection. You can't see the Goliath spider anymore. But obviously between you and the subway to Hope, there is a giant skyscraper smashed down into the middle of the street. And there's no space to the left or the right of it. So your only option is that alley that you saw before.
Excellent. Finally.
Or you guys could circumnavigate that skyscraper and go down a different street and try and find your way back to Hope.
I think the alleyway at this point is probably the best worst choice for getting back quickly.
All right.
Molly agrees. Yeah.
I agree.
So you guys make your way into this alley, and the funnel of web it opens up into the top of the alley. It's sort of like just on the left and the right of the walls. And it's quite narrow, but wide enough for you to get this dolly through. And it's quite clear. You can sort of come across a trash can every now and again that's kind of covered in webs. And as you're moving through, you Molly, you feel a drip, drip, drip from above, and you look up, and you see an orb weaver the size of a shuttle bus kind of hanging above you guys. You good there, Jarrett?
Yeah, no, I was just doing it. I was like, fuck.
So I'm going to need an agility check from all of you.
Of course.
To not get noticed by this orb weaver.
I'm gonna.
I'm gonna.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
I'm gonna do 2d8 worth.
Yep. And I'm just gonna re-roll the Webscape again quickly.
I rolled a 7 and a 3, so 15.
Okay.
I'm gonna do 2 as well. I rolled a 7 and a 2, plus 4, so 13.
Yeah.
I rolled a 7 and a 5, which is a 12 plus whatever my agility is, which is 3.
So guess which number is on the Webscape?
7.
7.
Yeah.
A lot.
Oh no.
So you guys all get one back because you succeeded, and you successfully make your way through this alley. But the catching of the web on the wheels alerts the spider, and it descends into the alley behind you, and it just it's facing away from you, but all of its legs are now blocking the way behind you, and it's turning left and right, trying to find out what prey walked into its web.
Phew.
And you guys are in the clear. You're in the street. Hope is just a few blocks away, and there's a Goliath spider sitting in the middle of the street.
Of course there is.
Excellent.
I was wondering where he went.
And as you say that, the orb weaver climbs the building to the side of you and makes its way into the street, and the Goliath spider rears back, and the orb weaver rushes it and bites into the Goliath spider's leg, and a spider fight starts in this street as kind of the sides of buildings are getting knocked by flailing legs.
This is both epic and frightening in the same moment.
And then, I mean, it sounds like.
Yeah, the only sound is buildings getting knocked.
Yeah.
Is Godzilla next?
We gotta sketch this this cart through these guys' legs.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it while they're distracting each other.
Give me an agility check from one of you to steer the cart, and give me a strength check from one of you to push the cart.
I have a 5. Let me do the agility.
Okay, and then I'll take the strength. Go ahead.
See, I'm done.
Yeah.
I have done to 68.
I'm going to get on the front to navigate.
Okay. or you could surf the top, you know.
That's I think that's kind of the concept here.
Yeah.
A 2 and a 3, so 10 total.
Yep. And so that was the agility. Strength?
And then the strength is 5 and a 7 plus 4. So we got 16 on that.
Yeah. So you got the strength. You're weaving left and right between these legs that are slamming into the ground. You knock the webscape, but the fact that they're fighting would pause that mechanic. And there's one moment where the leg kind of knocks into the engine, but the concrete holds the engine inside. It just cracks slightly.
Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem if there's a crack in that. Not an issue.
No.
Molly just starts laughing. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
Slightly used goods. It'll be fine. It's slightly used goods, like buying a used vehicle, but it's a nuclear engine.
And you guys make it through this spider fight and wheel it to the steps down to Hope. And that is the end of my taster campaign.
Awesome.
Wow, we didn't die. That's the first time in a while that I've played in a game that myself or someone else didn't suffer the consequences.
Well, that's because you're playing with Jeremy all the time.
Well, there's that. Yes.
We're going to do our reaction roll. Reaction roll is a live stream inside of a live stream. It's our chance to sit down with the creator of a game that we just played and talk to them about what it was like to play that game. Today, we are playing Webworld with Will, also known as Neon Rot, the creator of that game. We've also got Jarrett and Dean with us here today. I'm very, very excited to find out what they thought about the game. I had a great time playing. Will, for folks who joined us a little bit later in the stream, why don't you tell them a little bit about who you are, what you do, and tell us about Webworld.
Yep, so I'm Neon Rot, or Will, and I create RPGs, and I made Webworld. Webworld is a post-apocalyptic game set in a spider apocalypse where giant spiders from schlocky sci-fi films have descended upon humanity, eaten most of humanity, and the game takes place just after that event, where the world is covered in a thick web, and the entire game is combat free, and players are expected to sneak between the webs and avoid the ever-encompassing threat of the spiders. Awesome.
I had a great time playing. I am a little surprised we didn't die. I loved getting to see some of these mechanics in action. Can't wait to chat a little bit about it. Let's talk to Dean first. Dean, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, what it was like to play Webworld?
Well, I'm Dean, or at Geekus Dean on social media. I refer to myself as an internet putz online. That's more or less just what I do. As for the game, I like it overall. I especially like systems that do the volume of success, the no success, middle success, or good success and high success kind of route. I don't see a lot of those, but what I do see, I like. And a non-combat game is pretty interesting because most RPGs are combat, or at least somewhat oriented, but I like that because it's in a lot of horror-like games there is a sense of combat, but I think truly if you want to get your players excited or involved, the aspect that they are not necessarily helpless, but the combat is not in their favor, that's what they like to see. I also like, because you picked on one of my favorite aspects of old 1950s, like 1960s B-movie culture, which is that giant creature that no one knows come from, that the government has no response for. So I like the setting, I like the system. The character creation is easily done. I really like that. and it's pretty straightforward. So yeah, this was a fun time to be had.
Awesome. Do you have any questions you want to ask Neon?
What inspired you to do the giant Arachnid setting?
So exactly that. When I was a kid, I didn't have live TV. I just had a VHS player and a TV, and I would watch. Basically, there was like a thrift store nearby, and they would sell recorded films that the person had just put onto like re-recordable VHSs, and I just buy them. And a lot of them were sort of old B movies. Like Ray Harryhausen movies, and there was a lot of those really old schlocky giant monster movies, the slime that came from the sea and stuff like that. And I just always loved them, and I've never really seen an RPG that kind of tackles giant monsters from the human point of view, which is something that really interests me. Because obviously a lot of these movies are about the monster, and the human bit is kind of naff. There's not a lot of story there. Right. And I wanted people to be able to create their own really cool, interesting stories within this world where a giant monster is attacking.
Very nice.
Awesome. Jared, this is your first time to ever look at this game, right? And so tell us what your first thoughts were about this game.
Man, like Tony, I can't tell anymore if your character is bleeding over to real life or real life bleeding over to characters. You're full of bullshit today. It's going to be a long afternoon, Jared. Get used to it. Yes, I know, Tony. No, I super love fast situations and scenarios. Character generation, took no time at all. And as a fan of WEG 6, Star Wars, I love having dice pools. They're super fun. I don't like them so much when I'm running, but I like them when I'm playing because it's a visible resource. If you have them, you're like, okay, can't use that one, can't use that one, can't use that one. That was super fun. I also like that we weren't concerned initially with like inventory and flipping through the book. Like it's not like you get a character and you get this and you've got this gun and you get this and blah, blah, blah. It's just kind of like you have some stuff and but it's not like really even like super directly addressed. It's honestly like not a massively important part of the game, which is super cool for me. Just I don't know. I think inventory is a distracting thing. I'm on an anti-inventory kick.
I hate you right now. I'm so bad with the words coming out of your mouth.
I know, but that's why I'm doing it. Point come to point. And yeah, no, just and thank you, Will. Like while you were running it for running up for letting us know what was sitting in the Webscape. Because it is scary as a player to not know that. So obviously we're discussing mechanics stuff like that today, but that's something that I definitely see when I get a chance to run this as like a lot of just me going like not revealing it and just kind of laughing just to mess with players a little bit like that, even if the numbers are good. I like hidden movement. I mean, that's more applicable for a board game, but hidden results or whatnot. That's a thing I've really been on a kick a bit lately as well. And just overall, like I have a copy here in my hand. Just everything in it, like it's just super. You could run an entire campaign just out of what's in here. But I hear, Will, that you're going to do supplements for it, right?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I've got there's a Webworld Down Under I'm working on, and it will just be a large expansion of Sydney-based giant spiders.
Awesome.
And all the kind of the variety of giant of actual giant spiders you get in Australia.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing. It's while we were going into it, this is the sort of setup and the sort of like super light thing. You could take any map. I mean, I have books of maps or just any sort of thing, and just be like, okay, here's a city block. It could be the town where you live in. It could be your local neighborhood block. But then you slap all of these webs and stuff, and then it's just like instant obstacles. So you don't have to get in depth about, as the person running the game about, oh shit, I gotta prep this, I gotta prep this. No. It's just put webs and spiders, and every time somebody touches something, there's a chance that it's gonna happen. And like that's the sort of interaction and lethality that I personally enjoy a lot in games.
Even just hopping on Google Street View and like taking a bunch of screen caps of your neighborhood and then just drawing some really rough spider webs and being like, this is what it looks like now, is a fun way to basically place this game wherever you want to for your players. And I love that.
So fun fact, the art within the game, let's see if I can find a good example. There we go. So tell
me what page you want to be on, and I'll make sure everybody can see that page.
Page 2.
Okay.
So the art within the game is all taken from I as a hobby, I illegally sneak into abandoned buildings and take photos, and the art is my photos drawn over the top, covered in web. Because they're these destroyed buildings that I've just covered in web, and it's just funny that you should mention that.
I know,
but I had the same. Go ahead, Tony.
The art style is really just solid, and I was going to ask you about it, so that's awesome. Dean, what were you going to say?
I was say you had the same hobby as I do, but without the camera.
No, I had a blast playing. I loved. I think dice pulls are great because they play quickly. I loved the resource management piece that you worked in as far as roll as many as you want. However, also leveling felt really powerful, which I think speaks to like how fragile the characters are even within that. But even after we leveled is really when we got ourselves in trouble, because once you have those dice, you're more willing to start rolling more and messing with them. So you are more competent, but also immediately start putting yourself in more peril because of that, which I just think is such a great, every player is going to play differently, but I think that loop is a really fun mentality to have players have a little bit of success, grow exponentially more powerful, then all of a sudden put themselves in bad situations because of that growth and how often they're going to trigger the webs now. I think it's really smart. I liked the mixed success being tied to just random numbers. Like Jarrett said, that's a super smart piece of tech that also just works really well thematically for a spider. Like, tech doesn't necessarily have themes, but how we mesh themes and tech together, like, are everything for me. Like how that theme gets laid over it. And this was such a really fun one to see. I'm very curious to see what other people will do with similar things. I don't know that I've seen like, oh, here's the bad number, right? And there might be one bad number, but the way that you do the array based on the size, based on the level of challenge, the escalation in that all worked together really well and really seamlessly. And I also really appreciate you showing the bones of that on stream, because this is a game that I think seeing how it's run is very important, not just seeing how it's played. So I'll echo that. I want to ask a little bit about what came up in the middle of the game, which was, so it's there's not combat resolution. Obviously there's things you can do to manipulate the spiders based on their senses and the world around you, the amount of webs, all that kind of stuff. And that's intended to be the game. Very, very good OSR like mentality. I love stuff in my pockets, so screw Jared. I don't care what they say. Inventory is the best thing ever, but I love that you didn't have one. I don't think you need one. I think saying, if you want a couple of things, you have those, that's great, go. Like I think it's great. Because I put spider sap in my pockets. Can you step on a small spider and kill it?
Sorry, I'm just distracted by Jarrett's hat.
Who wouldn't be? Well, we did have a comment in chat that
Trash
was
requested it, and I meant to
intimidated.
grab it last time I got up for a quick stand, and I forgot. So Trash hat.
I have to ask, what is on that hat?
So this hat is named Fish Hat Arneson, because there's a game that we play sometimes at late night at conventions called Charmisma. It's essentially also known as everyone's exhausted and making shit up for no reason. It's just the gamers, designers, artists, drunks, stoners, whatever, just whoever's left at 1 and 2 in the morning. Anyway, years ago, during one of the Charmisma games, someone drew a character named Fish Hat Arneson, and when I moved down here to this apartment, I found this hat in the apartment with a fish on it. So yeah, it's part of the props. Part of the show is Fish Hat Arneson.
There's a scale of creativity there, and I'm not just making a pun.
Wait, pause. I love you all. I've been on stream for so many hours today. I love this hat, but I've also heard this story 3 times. You can go back to previous streams and watch us talk about this hat repeatedly. We'll probably even talk about it later on today at 4 p.m. for Funeral Party. Come back and watch it. So talk about the combat reality. Can I squish a small spider?
Yeah, so to answer your question, I think the implication that one of the skills that a character class can have is that they burn up the host. You probably could squish a small spider, and it's when they start to grow that they then develop that hard body that can't be broken by bullets and explosions. But they're newly formed, newly born then, so you probably could kill a hand-sized spider if you put your mind to it. If you had a big enough boot.
Right. No, if you have a big enough boot, you can always do it. Which is why it's always important that Dean's question asks that character. That character asks that question every single time. No, I was curious whether that was because I think the temptation in a game where there's no combat, invariably a player is like, I want to hit that thing, right? And the question isn't necessarily can you damage it. Like I'm sure we could have slammed that thing into this creature and maybe pinned it for a minute, or maybe done a lot of things like that. I think the stats that you've created obviously let you choose to do. The answer is combat is not going to solve your problem,
right,
in any sort of meaningful way in this game. Though it's not that you can't
just make it go away briefly,
right? Or if I decided I'm going to stab the player next to me, I can do that. They're not bulletproof. Why you would do that, I don't know, but I'm sure it'll come up at some point in time. No, like I said, it's really interesting to be what's the scale? How does that work? But I do like the narrative conceit of combat is not your solution. Think cleverly, figure things out. I think my question for you is as you've played this, as you kind of have explored the world with players, what's been one of the most surprising things you've seen players do to deal with a spider?
When I play tested this, one of the a different Firestarter player, they tested if there was still petrol in a car, and then purposely pulled on the web next to the car to get the spider over the car, and then set a fuse and ran, causing the car to explode, which obviously didn't kill the spider, but did set it on fire, which then caused the spider to run, reducing the webscape to 0, but also run through the city, kind of setting different webs on fire.
Yeah, I imagine Firestarters burn large swaths of the planet that this happens, the Earth version of Earth that this happens on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
I would say if there was a news equivalent in the modern era, it's today's gonna be a great day. It's gonna be 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Detroit's on fire currently, and then by tomorrow we're gonna get some rain.
Yeah. No, I would love to see a campaign of this, because I think there's being able to deal with a lot of the communities that build up. I love the idea of, Dean, like you just said, of the radio station, the post-apocalyptic radio station that's constantly giving you updates from around the globe. The spider sap conglomerate that eventually forms. I think there's just a lot of fun stuff. I thoroughly enjoyed it and had a really good time. But yeah, any other if, by the way, everybody, if you have not yet hit !rap me to get entered into a chance over on Twitch to win a free copy of this game. Otherwise, Iono47 is going to win it because they're the only one who's done that so far. They will probably try to discourage you. Speaking of Iono, they want to know what's your favorite spider, and we can loop around. Everybody can say their favorite spider.
So my favorite spider is they're called, what are they called? They're called Skeletaurus Spiders. So they start off really, really, really small, as most spiders do, and then they grow into sort of a tarantula-sized spider, and they're very similar to tarantulas, and they have the markings of they're like pure black, except for they have the markings of the skeleton of a spider in white over the top of the fur, and they just look like a skeleton spider basically walking, and also they're really similar to a tarantula, which is really nice because the tarantulas are big softies. They always use them in films as like the scary spider that jumps out, but if you've actually come across a tarantula, they barely ever bite people, and they're basically like a tiny dog.
I grew up in Texas with a lot of friends who had tarantulas, and they were always like, "You should just let it crawl on you," and my answer was always no. I'm not even particularly scared of spiders, but that just always seemed like a step too far for me. I was like, that's fine that you want to let it crawl on you. That doesn't bother me. I think that's really cool. I don't want to let it crawl on me. And like, I'll let a snake crawl on me. I don't want a spider crawling on me.
Something I just wanted to mention was that I really liked Jarrett finding out in real time that he can't roll too many dice because he'll just trigger the Webscape.
Mm-hmm.
I love Jarrett finding that out and then doing it anyways. That was my
yeah.
part.
Yeah, that was good.
As Stella says, I'm an epic level gamer. I mean, come on.
I love it. No one else has entered, so I'm not going to hit the final thing. Iono, reach out to me over on Discord if you're in the Necropolis server. You can find me there, or Jarrett directly if you're there. Otherwise, hit me up over on Twitter at +1EXP. We'll get things started to get you your copy of Webworld. Also, follow us and Exalted Funeral over on Twitter. We'll be doing a copy giveaway copy of the game later on. In the middle of next week also too. However, I will say this. If you're like, hey, I'm not on Twitter anymore, we'll eventually figure out what's happening with all that and whether we're going to keep on doing giveaways there or somewhere else. So for right now, forgive us. Show up to live streams or follow us over there, whichever one you like. If you're not in the Necropolis fan server for Exalted Funeral, you absolutely should be. It's a great community run by fans of the different games that Exalted puts out. Jarrett and I are going to be back talking about more Exalted stuff in 2 hours. 2 hours. Actually, man, we got more of a break than I thought. Another great thing about dice pool games, and specifically Webworld, it plays really quick. Like, we had a lot of fun, went on a little adventure, and it took less than 2 hours. Here's a couple great things that we have coming up, though, in addition to the funeral party in just a little bit. We've got tomorrow, Death Grind Megastructure, which is a Together We Go game by Josh from Ostrich Monkey. Spoilers, or early scoop, tomorrow also pre-sales for the print copy of Death Grind Megastructure go live. We're going to be printing out 100 copies to go in our store. I'll talk to Jared also, see if we're going to put any in Exalted Funeral also too later on. But Death Grind Megastructure is a 8-page minimalist RPG based on the Together We Go system, set in a universe similar to the Blame anime/manga, which is incredibly good. It's a giant superstructure, and the line between human and program is very nebulous, and so technology and humanity have kind of blended, and we are trying to make it through this giant superstructure as something paces us and tries to kill us. Come check that out tomorrow, and pre-sales go live for that tomorrow as well. It'll be out later on next month. Next Wednesday on May the 4th, we are playing Going Rogue, which is an expansion for Galactic 2nd Edition by Jess, who's a phenomenal creator. We're actually going to be playing with Riley, the creator of Galactic 2nd Edition, Jess, the creator of Going Rogue, and then some of the other team members. There's also an amazing bundle of a bunch of Galactic 2nd Edition supplements and expansions, including our own companion playbook for that. It's a Belonging Outside Belonging game. Come next Wednesday, celebrate the best way to tell Star Wars stories with us, which isn't using the Star Wars RPG. It's using Galactic 2nd Edition. At least that's my opinion. You can have a different one if you want to. That's fine.
Fight you, Tony.
Have you played Galactic 2nd Edition?
No, honestly, just straight up, I love WEG 6 Star Wars with West End Games D6 Star Wars. Like,
there's a lot of good Star Wars games out there.
Okay.
The current popular one is not one of my favorite ones. And so I think there have been a lot of other good versions of it. I still think Galactic 2nd Edition, because of its flexibility, is significantly better. And
can you by the end of the first episode end up with an Ewok who has become a Dark Jedi?
I mean, you can start that way at the beginning of the first episode.
No, I know, but nobody wants to start that way.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, Jar Jar played the entire 3 prequels that way. You know,
I'm just I'm relating to you my last WEG 6 Star Wars campaign, which ended up with the characters riding Rancors. Just saying.
Awesome. We just had a number of people join us right at the end of the session. We are just wrapping up our actual play of Webworld. If you want to check out the game, you can go to ttrpg.link/webworldgame or go search Neon Rot over on itch to find the Surely Digital version. That link that I gave you just now will take you to the Exalted page where you can pick up a physical copy of the game. With that said, we don't have a good way that we close out streams. So until next time, we're going to wave at the stream until I take us offline. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for being my friend.